Okay, so here we are. It looks like Jake Paul versus Tank Davis is not going to go ahead again because shock horror, Tank Davis has had a run-in with the law once again. He has an apparent or alleged another domestic abuse case against him. And this is not the first time, right? This has got to be case 3 or 4. Obviously, he did some time in prison as well. And I remember actually watching a podcast with him about maybe 6 months ago. I don't remember when. And Tank Davis had the self-awareness to actually admit that he needs therapy. Well, I think we all can say he needs therapy. He's had a bad childhood, a bad upbringing, much like a lot of boxers and MMA fighters. That's probably why the fighters, one of the reasons. And I was like, this guy's self-aware. He looks like he's going to change himself. Clearly, something's happened. Anyway, looking like the fight's not going to go ahead. For me, I didn't respect Jake Paul for a long time. I'm still not quite on the bandwagon of respecting him. I do think he has done a little bit of good for the sport of boxing. He's definitely generating eyeballs. Whether you love him or whether you hate him, you have to say he is generating eyeballs, he is generating interest, and he's actually therefore generating more of an audience and more fans to the sport. So to me, that isn't a negative thing. It is a positive thing. Yes, we know most of it has been a complete and utter shit show. It's been a circus. He's fighting old men. I mean, it's just a freak show, isn't it? Let's be fair. He's fighting retired MMA fighters in the 40s who come from largely a wrestling background. They've never really boxed solely in their life. And yeah, he's done well. He's been boxing for maybe 5, 6 years, maybe 7 years at this point. The guy clearly puts in the work ethic, okay? So I'll give him some props. But come on, you're fighting someone who is a buck 35, buck 40, fighting at that weight. Tiny, tiny guy. And now Chris Mannix, I've seen report on X saying that it's looking like he's looking for a replacement opponent, and that could be the one and only Ryan Garcia. Shock horror, another guy fighting at about 140 pounds or 135 pounds. We know he had a few stints there. It's just a calamity. I mean, it's just, what are we doing? What are we doing going for these smaller guys? I know he had the fight against Chavez Jr. And yeah, that was definitely more commendable, more respectable, more credible. But Chavez Jr. has been retired for over 10 plus years at this point. No one really cares about the guy. He's irrelevant. People only know of him because of his father, of course. He didn't really do much. You know, he's just not a big name. But he did get more respect from the boxing casuals and the diehards, really, for stepping up and taking that fight. And now he's going to Gervonta Tank Davis, and now he's going to Ryan Garcia. It just doesn't make sense why he's picking these midgets to fight against. You know, they're built like a little boy. And Jake Paul is a grown-ass man. He might be 27, but he's pretty muscular. He's like 6 foot, 6'1", and he's about 215, 220 pounds. And we know he can crack. I'm just thinking about this, and I'm thinking, why don't you just fight someone your own size? And I know this isn't a new argument. I know it's not. But I'm looking at the rankings right here, and I'm looking at the cruiserweight rankings. And yeah, you've got to have a big name. We all know you need to have a big name. There's no point fighting someone in the top 15 who has no name and no value, because he's not going to bring any eyeballs to the pay-per-view, because that's what Jake Paul wants. He has a big brand name. He's on Netflix or wherever he's fighting on. He gets a lot of eyeballs there, and that equals a massive payday. So he needs an opponent who can kind of mirror that and also bring some eyeballs to the dance as well. But you're looking in the top 15, and there just isn't really anybody in any of the divisions who is a big name for cruiserweight, that is. The only one I could think of, looking at this, who he could fight, would be Vidal Riley. And for those of you in the US who don't know of him, this guy is fucking massive on YouTube, kind of an influencer guy. He is a professional boxer now. Very much British level at the moment. I think he won the British title. I think he won the British title as of late. But he has a massive, massive YouTube following. He was more famous for coaching KSI a few years ago, and that's where his platform kind of shot to stardom, if you will. Again, not a huge name, Vidal Riley. I don't know if he'd get a huge fan base from the UK watching him, but in terms of America around the world, probably not very much. So there isn't really many names. But then you go into the light heavyweight division or the super middleweight division, you're like, well, who else could he fight? Okay, what other names are there? And again, you've got Ben Whittaker from the UK, who just recently signed with Matchroom, a massive name, but not globally. In the UK, everybody knows him, but not really anybody knows him outside of the UK, especially in the US. A few people have heard of him. So then you're thinking, well, let's have a look at the super middleweight people. And I was looking down this list and I thought, why not Edgar Berlanga? And I've actually just read a report that he's in talks, or his team are in talks with multiple fighters, and Edgar Berlanga might also be one of those, as well as Ryan Garcia. And Edgar Berlanga just got beat savagely by Hamza Shiraz, who's actually ranked number 2 in most divisions, especially in the WBO, he's ranked number 2. Edgar Berlanga would be a good fight, because here's the reality of this. Jake Paul fought Tommy Fury, and everybody knows who Tommy Fury is, right? He's more of a reality star than a boxer. If you don't really watch that much boxing, and you're kind of a layman fan, Tommy Fury wouldn't win an area title in the UK. And for those of you outside of the UK, you have obviously different belts. You've got the Lonsdale belt. You've got an area title, which is the kind of, what goes without saying, the area where you are. And then you've got like the British title, and then you've got the Commonwealth, the European, and the Worlds, and you've got obviously WBO, IBF, WBA, that type of stuff. Tommy Fury wouldn't win an area title, and Jake Paul couldn't beat Tommy Fury. And I know this was about 2 years ago, and I know Jake Paul's improved, and we know Tommy Fury is just a blown up reality star. He can box a little bit, he can, but he's never going to win. He wouldn't win an area title, let alone a British title, let alone a European, Commonwealth, or world title. Okay? Jake Paul would get annihilated by Edgar Berlanga. And the press conference will be good, because Berlanga's a bit of a nutcase. He's a lunatic, as we've seen. He talks a good talk. He has good smack talk. I think their energy is incredible. It would be good together. It'd be quite entertaining. But Jake Paul, it wouldn't be good enough to tie his shoelace. Now, if he landed on him, of course, it could be different. But you're talking about a different level of fight here with Berlanga. He's not the best in the world. His record's good, 23-2. But look who he's fought. Mainly cans, right? He's not fought anyone at the highest level. So I think the Berlanga fight would actually be a very, very good fight for Jake. And it's actually someone who is still smaller than him, right? He's a super middleweight, but he could definitely give him a dance. So we'll just have to stay tuned to this. I just wish Jake Paul would fight someone his own size. I know everybody's saying this. I know it's old hat. But picking these little midgets, these little boys, Ryan Garcias and Tank Davises, again, I'm not stupid. I'm not naive. I know why he's doing it. Big names, big draw, more money, more eyeballs, more fans for the sport. I get it. It's not hard. You don't have to be fucking Einstein to work out what he's doing. But at the same time, you can't go from picking Tank Davis to now an equally smaller guy in Ryan Garcia, maybe a little bit bigger. You've got free reign who to pick now. Why don't you get a fight with Edgar Berlanga? That would be my take. And then I will absolutely respect him more. If he steps in with the likes of Edgar Berlanga or anybody else in the top 15 in the super middleweight, the light heavy or the cruiserweight division, I will give him much more respect. But for some reason, I don't see that happening. It's either going to be a retired fighter of some sorts that nobody cares to watch. It's probably someone who's going to be over 40 or 45 because he likes doing that. Or it's going to be someone whose fighting weight is between 135 and 140 pounds, probably. So let's see what goes on. It's sad about Tank Davis. I hate to see him with these allegations against him again. I wish he just gets out the sport and gets his head checked, gets his trauma resolved. Clearly, he has a lot of inner work to heal. So I do wish him the best. I know people think he might be a piece of shit, and maybe he is. It's not for me to say that. I'm not on this video to sort of start slating Gervonta Davis, but Jake Paul certainly needs to get his shit together, that's for sure.